Hey, everybody. Welcome to KISS.
Keep it simple, sister.
Hey,
Hi, Samantha.
Diana. I get to go first.
That's right, I forgot. Go
I
ahead.
get to go first,
Uh,
but it's your
Well,
turn.
go. If you gotta go first, go.
Hi, Diana.
Hi, Samantha.
Hey, everybody. Yeah, we get punchy sometimes because we talk a
Yeah.
lot before we actually get on and just, kind of shooting around ideas of how we're going to present to you the concepts we want to present to y'all. So this is it's all kind of I was going to say it's a dance, but no, for us, it's a waltz. It's
Yes, it is. It's a fancy waltz.
Yeah, so much more elegant. Or it could be a hoedown at times. Anyway, welcome to KISS. We're all about feeling great by feeling better. So Diana and I are here to share all the tips, tricks, and techniques that we've learned over our vast many years, and sharing them with you so that you can integrate them into your life and just these little incremental steps that make your life so much better if you would just freaking apply them. I'm begging. Uh,
Freaking apply them.
yes. So
And
basically,
today's topic is so fucking interesting.
and
Remember, that's my new tagline.
well, that's
So fucking interesting.
well, I just want to remind everybody what we're doing. Like, what this is all. This is like spiritual life coaching. It's chit chat. It's stuff that it's the kind of stuff that Diana and I talk about on a regular basis because we're fascinated by the whole conversation of personal development, being authentic, and just really feeling better every single day, right?
Right. Definitely.
Yeah. So it's kind of like
And
a
we just wanna share. We wanna share with everyone. Hopefully, you'll gain some nuggets of something that you can use in your life or
share with others. Yeah,
share
exactly.
with them. Yep.
Yep. So what's our fucking fascinating conversation about today?
It's about grounding, which when I first met Samantha, I didn't know anything about grounding. And so I was talking to her about my younger daughter, Maggie, is an empath. She's very empathetic and she
Mhm.
places get too peoply for her. Um, if there's too much going on, she gets overstimulated and it really, really bothers her. But it's because she's soaking in all the emotions. And so Samantha gave me some good ideas to pass along to her
Mhm.
about how she can kind of bring it in and ground herself
Mhm.
to be able to live life not chaotically, because I think it's kind of like chaos.
Yeah. So when we're talking about grounding, the idea is that because of all the stuff coming at you, and it can be like a PTSD response, it could be just overwhelmment, it could be, I think that's word overwhelmment. It can be all kinds of different things, but you're kind of in your head, out of your body, just almost like slinging stuff around and not you're so not mindful, you know.
Right, right, and that's a
Yeah.
big part of what we talk about is mindfulness. We don't call it that, but a lot of the different tips and techniques that we're sharing with you guys would fall under that category.
Yep, excellent. Yeah. And so the idea is you're out here floating around, and when you ground, think about that. You're pulling yourself in, you're pulling yourself into the moment, you're literally feeling your feet on the ground, but
Yeah,
we say it, but there's so many different layers to the whole thing because it's really this energetic connection to the earth where you're able to take all of this fragmented energy, all of these thoughts, all these things going on out here, and you're able to have them flow down into the earth and dissipate and leave you so that you're now singularly focused. So how helpful
right.
is that? Like,
Yeah.
we all kind of need that.
Yeah, definitely, and I didn't know that I needed it until I met you.
Hmm.
But I did know that even from when I was a young child, I loved to walk around outside barefooted. I always did,
Yeah.
and my mom would be like, "Put your shoes on, you're gonna get a splinter, you're gonna get this," but I loved being in the grass with no shoes on, and I didn't realize that that's what I needed. I needed that grounding sensation, and I didn't even know what it was.
Hmm. Well, and you think about it. Well, okay, first, let me say that's one thing that my multidimensional guides have coached so many people. Like they've said that humans are so messy with their energy. We don't manage it very well. And it's like, and I can have clients come in and sit down, and I can see their energy just like going all over, like it's fragmented, it's all over the place. And by the time I finish having a conversation with them, it's all just smooth and fuzzy and soft and, and so think about that. You take that energy, say you're dealing with a child, um, or another hypersensitive person, but let's just take a child because children tend to be wide open. They
Uh-huh.
haven't learned to bring it in, shut it down, all that kind of stuff. And you've just had a conversation with someone, boss, family, friend, whatever, that has thrown you off, and you're just blah, and your energy's all over the place. And you go to sit down to talk to that child, and you're just throwing these energetic darts all over the place, these fragments of energy. And there's a reason why that child is not going to be compliant or, responsive or whatever, because you're bombarding them with this stuff. And the difference of, if you would get into yourself, release all of that excess energy by grounding and then sit down to talk. You have that singular focus, nothing else matters but this child in front of me, and your
Mhm.
energy is now soft. And so, like, my daughter's super aware of it. So I mean, she tells me right off the bat, "Mom, you need to ground. I can't handle it." And I'm sure Maggie would, if she had the vocabulary, that awareness,
Right.
she'd
And what I
do
was
the same
thinking the
thing.
whole time that you're talking is it's so sad that and in schools now, especially since the big C word,
Yeah.
whatever, it's all about mindfulness and their specific lessons on mindfulness and stress reduction, all of that kind of stuff. But my thought was if we had been taught that from childhood on, and could teach our own children that, we all would be in a better place
Yeah.
emotionally, energetically,
Well,
all of
because
that.
everything, I mean, we know, I don't know if they teach it, you come from the science background with teaching and stuff, so I don't know that it's acknowledged as much, but you know generally most of us know, I think, that everything's made of energy in our universe. The smallest component is energy.
Yes.
And so, if we're made of energy and that energy gets agitated, kind of tells you something right there. Like, like,
Right, and I think that, we're taught about all of that, but not in application to ourselves
yeah, okay, yeah.
as much, I
Mhm.
think.
So when they're teaching mindfulness, it's a process, but they're not getting the kids to understand that there's more going on behind the scenes.
Well, and I think that they're, giving teachers these mindfulness lessons,
Mhm.
um, that weren't developed by someone like you. They were developed, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like they're just so far out there and the teachers haven't been instructed or in serviced or whatever to really understand what they're even explaining. So I don't know. It's a great idea,
Mhm.
but I don't know if in practice it's achieving what they think it is. Maybe it's helping along the way, but it could be so much better.
Mhm. So, when give me an example of, like, when or for not for me, but for everybody out there, of when you like to ground. Like, what's the
Um,
application of it? When do you use it?
okay. So I have been I try and do it whenever I'm starting to feel a little bit woozy. Like if I feel like I'm overwhelmed,
Mhm.
and I don't even know how to describe an overwhelmed feeling, but I can tell that things are getting to be too much.
Mhm.
That's when I feel like I need to ground. Um Lately I've been working on releasing some different emotions and things that have some trauma that happened to me over my life and what that's doing physically to my body. I did it through Reiki.
Mhm.
And to my body, it's making me feel dizzy. And so sitting, I feel dizzy. Lying down, sometimes I feel dizzy. So when that dizziness comes, and I think it's my body processing, getting rid of all of that negativity and all those things. But when I start to feel dizzy, I take my shoes off and go outside and stand in the grass.
Yeah.
And I know that's not the only way that you can ground, and we're gonna talk about a lot of that, but, that's like the shortcut for me, like, that's the fastest way for me. It's
Mhm.
what's utmost in my mind, like, that's what comes to me first. I just need to go outside and ground.
Yeah.
I need to stand in the grass and the dirt, and taking my shoes off has that and maybe you can tell me why you need to do that, but I
Mhm.
feel like I need my bare feet on the grass, on the ground for that to work for me.
Yeah. Well, and we'll talk about that because that's one of the things, the sensory techniques that they were talking about. I was looking at like I know the ways that I typically ground. So before we had this started this conversation, I was like, well, what are other ways? And I was like, yeah, I didn't even think like I do that, but I didn't even
But you
think
didn't
to
think that that's what
discuss
it was doing?
yeah, so I'll bring that up in a minute. But like I know this past summer has been a humdinger for me. And for a lot of us. It's not just
Mhm.
me.
Oh,
Um,
me too.
but it's yeah, and it's been like day after day of feeling dizzy and off and emotional and
And headachy
headache.
and
Yeah, all of
yeah.
the things, everything. And I was telling people I literally, if I could lift up the lawn, the grass lawn like a carpet blanket, lift it up and snuggle inside of it and pull it up over me, that's what I would be doing. Like
Yeah.
I just wanted to immerse myself in it. Um
But I thought it was interesting when you said felt off. Like and that's whenever I feel off, that's what
Mhm.
I feel like I need to do. And I don't even know what off means.
Yeah.
And it's not always the same thing, but I just don't feel on it. I don't feel like myself.
Well, it's like when you bring your fingers together, and they meet,
Yeah.
and yet you're trying to get your fingers to go together and they're just not. Like,
Exactly. Like there's just something off, something not right, something where I can't do what I want to do, be where I want to be,
Mhm.
think what I want to think,
Well,
feel good in my skin.
yeah, essentially the mindfulness, that focus, you're just not there. And
Yeah.
so you're needing the grounding to um pull all of these things, pull it in. And then it's also that you need to dissipate like that energy, the headache, so all day yesterday, and this there were solar flares, occurring, hitting the earth and all this kind of stuff.
When
And
as she's saying that,
uh,
I wake up with a headache and I'm like, Samantha, what are the solar flares doing? Because it's terrible today. And she'll
yeah,
be like, yes, uh-huh.
cosmic energy is about. And so it was really intense yesterday. And what I would do, because I had like 3 sessions yesterday plus a couple of other things going on. And I try not to take, any Tylenol or anything like that because I want to get to the root of the problem. And so what I did instead was ground. And what I'm doing is taking whatever that energy is that's kind of making me go like this. I'm allowing myself to experience it, but I'm also allowing myself to let it move through my body and releasing it. And so, I could effectively, I knew it was still happening, but I was letting it, I wasn't resisting it. So I wasn't feeling the pain of it. So I was
Hmm.
letting it flow through and I was grounding it out of me. Yeah, it's like I don't know if you can do that for all pain,
Hmm.
but I just know that when I've got headaches that I can kind of manipulate it that way by the use of the grounding.
Hmm.
Um,
Well, and wouldn't it be nice if everyone knew try that first? Before you go to the Tylenol, before you go to the
Mhm.
sinus medicine or whatever.
Yeah,
Um, and if it works, great. And if not, take another step. But
yeah,
yeah,
exactly.
and we need to teach our people to do that.
Hmm. Well, but and so there's a lot of different ways that we can ground. Um, so Diana mentioned about the grass. Everyone's heard like and that's you're grounding. And the reason why it feels so good not to have any synthetic, like I think people say if you have leather soles, like you can still feel it, but it's having the synthetic in between or whatever. And that's why like you barefoot on the ground, it's that, positive and negative effect that's occurring. So that's why you feel it so powerfully that way.
Mhm.
We also mentioned in past podcasts that putting your hand underwater. And sometimes, and I always tell people, this is good, like if you're at work, and
Uh-huh.
you need a quick break and you want to replenish yourself. And some people, they splash their face with water or whatever. But generally, sometimes you need cold water, sometimes you need warmer water. It all depends on what you're feeling in your body. And you just run your hands underwater and you might do it for, 2 to 3 minutes. It might just take you a minute. But again, it's the, water helps conduct that electrical current and helps you to
And
release.
transfer it out, yeah.
Exactly. So that's really helpful. And also if you take a shower, that's why some people shower every day, other people, or they like to shower in the morning, or they like to shower at night, and there's preferences maybe because of how your hair is going to look the next day. But a lot of times it's that you're trying to achieve a certain feeling. And
Before you go to bed or before you start your day.
yeah, exactly. Like maybe you've had a crappy day and getting in the bathtub or the shower, bathtub with Epsom salts, fantastic for
Yeah.
releasing all of that pent up energy. I know that I really like to shower in the morning, especially before I have appointments,
Uh-huh.
sessions, intuitive sessions, because I am literally cleansing my body of everything. And it's also when I start getting messages come through.
Oh, well, and I used to it was a big joke when when I taught with my friends at school or whatever. I would say, I had this epiphany in the shower this morning, and it would happen to me all the time. And
Mm.
I didn't realize that that was listening to my inner being,
Higher self, yeah.
myself. Um, and it was happening. I just didn't know what to call it.
Hmm.
But I would listen to it. It happened to me almost daily. Like, whatever issue or problem or thing that I was trying to figure out for
In the
school or
shower.
how to help a kid or, all of those kind of things would be solved in the morning when I was in the shower before I went to school.
So the shower is I can't get the words out now, super helpful for just helping you to process, to like cleanse out any negativity. And it's just such a great conductor. I suppose if you get in the pool or you go swimming in the ocean,
Right.
it'd be similar. Um, Fun fact that I learned, when one of my clients, I was talking to them about grounding and how important it is. Like my guides were saying that they could get like a bag of soil, like really rich, miracle grow
Mhm,
whatever soil, and
mhm,
and like if you repot plants or just stick your hands in it and just push
mhm.
it around, that you can ground by doing that. Like say you're in the
That's
city.
really interesting.
Uh-huh, and you don't have, like, grass or it's winter time, so you
Yeah,
can
yeah.
just put your hands in soil or just get into repotting some plants. There's a lot of people who work with plants are very chill.
Yeah, true.
Yeah, there's huge reason why. But anyway, they were like, "Oh, well, I'm here at the beach, so I'll just grab some sand and bring it back and put that down, and I can just stand on the sand." And it was interesting because my guides were like, "Not quite." So, like, you
There's nothing for it to be attached to.
you can go to the beach and, because that sand is there mixing with the water, like, it doesn't have to be wet, but because it's there, that whole collection of everything going on is cleansing. But
Mhm.
if you take that sand, it's glass, and you take that, and you put it, just, it's some sand can have more organic matter in
Yeah,
it.
so it's not as alive as
Yeah. It's kind of a weird.
yeah. That's interesting.
Yeah, they're just like, I mean, they're like, yeah, I mean, because like there is some transduction but it's really meant to, it's not pulling. So now talking about that, um, this, let's see how
That's
close I can,
selenite.
yeah, that's
Pull
selenite.
it back a little bit, it's kinda blurry.
Yeah, I was hoping. it would be able to, but it's a clear stone. I'm gonna try to bring it really close so nothing else matters. No, you guys can kind of tell,
Yeah, you're
but it
not seeing that the striation, the little layers of it, but it
mhm.
has layers.
Yeah, because it is very brittle, but you can get it in bars like this. So now you can
Mhm,
see.
mhm. Yeah, that's
Um,
better.
yeah. And anyway, so and it's like one of those magic stones that is great for putting other stones on, putting jewelry on, putting anything on it. I guess you could sit on it if you wanted to. Um, and it pulls energy out of things. So it balances, it harmonizes, it cleans. And so when I have one of these in my car, and I used to hand them out to my clients all the time. I don't do it so much because I feel like sometimes they're looking at me like, "What?" Um, but, they're super helpful, like, when I'm on my way to do a group reading, I will hold this in my hand the whole time while I'm driving, like,
Mhm.
and it's just something that, maybe I'm a little bit nervous about getting there on time, or I haven't met this group before, or I've been feeling off, whatever it is, I'll hold this and just feel myself move into that space. I mean, I can feel it's the first crystal that I ever really held that I went, "Oh my god, I can feel this." And so it's this little thing right here, I it's grounding, it's moving that energy out of my body. Um, so it's another way I'm just sitting here going, I'm asking as I say this, is it as effective as grass? And I think nature kind of beats out this. But I think
So alive
yeah,
beats out crystal as far
yeah.
as energy goes.
I think so. I think so. In most cases, not having ever really applied that concept to every, situation, who knows,
Yeah.
um crystals, each crystal has its own certain element, and so it's very helpful for whether you want to magnify or release or focus, condense, or heal, or whatever. So they're all working differently. But selenite is super, super important. I don't know if I actually said what the name is because I was just showing it, but it's selenite.
Well, I
Um,
think I asked, "Is that
oh,
selenite?" Because that's the first crystal you told me anything about, and I believe
mhm.
that it was when we were driving in the car, and you had it in the car, and I was like, "What do you have over there?"
Yeah.
Um, and I knew nothing of crystals, and in my mind, it's hippy dippy, woo woo, whatever. I don't understand tree huggery. I don't know. But now that I know, hugging a tree will really help you. So tree huggery is a good thing.
Tree huggery is a very good thing. It's hard to do it in the South because there's fire ants and um,
Oh yeah.
bugaboos. There's all kinds of creepy whatevers. But I have a big pine tree in my backyard, and I worship that tree. Like I let it know that I love it. I try to
Uh-huh.
remind, excuse me, I try to remind it every day that I love it. Um, okay, so here's one of my earlier ways. Okay, so say you're in an office building and you can see greenery somewhere. And it's funny because my daughter brought this up the other day, and I'm like, "How do you know that?" And she goes, "Mom, you taught me this." And I'm like, "This was in 2005, 2004. Like this was
It's
so
sunk in.
yeah." Like I'm like, "This is crazy." But I think I learned this from the Celestine prophecies, but I don't really remember. But anyway, this concept hit me and came across somehow. And I remember like being in an office and just all of the concreteness and all of the just like you feel like you're just breathing in all of the chemicals and stuff, the industrial
Mhm,
whatever. And so what it talked about was how you can just look out at trees, look out at nature, but especially trees, and just allow your mind to just relax and then begin to pull in the energy from the tree. And like you can just feel yourself. And it's very similar to the tree hugging, but you're not actually touching it. You're
mhm.
just looking at it, and it will do this exchange for you. It'll like I see it as bringing the energy in, but it's also taking the energy out the same way as we're breathing and it's taking the carbon
Yeah.
dioxide and then giving us oxygen. Well, it's doing that energetically, well, because everything's energy, you know.
Right.
So what I noticed when I did it though, especially with live oaks, is that all of a sudden I would notice, like, it got really spiritual, crazy, weird, because all of a sudden I noticed the all the little leaves, they were like crystals, like the way the light was hitting it
Oh, wow.
would shine, and the wind would just move it a little bit, and it was like crystals, just sort of like all of a sudden I was seeing the world in a totally different way. This is when I think I had my true awakening occur.
Uh-huh.
Um, that like there was all kinds of weird stuff happening and this was one of them, but that exchange that you have, like even if you have a house plant, I mean, for God's sakes, have something, even if you're not really good at plants, like what is it, pothos, the ivy,
Yeah.
is that a real plant behind you?
Where?
Yeah.
No, that one's fake, but
Okay.
to the left of me, and because I kill plants, but to the left of me, I do have a money tree that I
Okay.
bought at Sam's Club, and it was cool because it was 3 different ones that were all, like,
Oh, twist it up.
braided together. Now I'm down to 2 of them are dead, but the one that's still alive is just flourishing.
They're survivor.
The surprise. Yeah. So I do have a live plant in here, and it makes a difference. It makes a and what I noticed when I moved into my house, the whole back of it is glass, like big, big windows, and I can see trees out of there. And I remember the first time I walked in, I was like, it was like, like, and I love the way the light comes in too, but I really think it's looking out on the trees changes my whole everything. So
Well,
that's
so
interesting that you say that.
think about it. I was just thinking about your husband and, when he's had to go to rehab and stuff like that. That's where we've gotten medicine wrong. Like, if they could be sitting in an environment where instead of, walls, there were windows and they were looking out, and seeing these plants, seeing the
Mhm.
greenery. What a difference. And we all know that when we watch a movie and it portrays like this wealthy person at this mental asylum or, some recovery place, it's always rolling green hills and these,
Mhm.
gorgeous paths and all of that stuff feeds us. It helps us to become better.
Mhm.
So why in the world why do we pull all of that away from that environment,
Yeah.
when they're trying to help us to feel better and then we don't have the very thing that could help that process move along.
Mhm.
I
Mhm.
just that's kind of insanity to me. And that's why people
Well, and it's
probably
funny that you mentioned that because
Hmm,
the rehab place, it was an acute rehab. So, like they're working really hard with them or whatever. The last time he was there, they're redesigning the whole place and they're turning all of the double rooms into single rooms. And he was in, is it single? No, what do you call it when there's only one person in there?
solo.
Whatever. Yeah, I don't know. Um, he was by himself in a room, and when they redesigned it, they put in a whole wall of windows, and he was looking out on a tree, and he would say squirrel, and the squirrels would run by or whatever. And I really felt like there was a whole different feel this time. He went to the older section
Uh-huh.
where he had a roommate, and he was on the inner part, so he wasn't even near a window, and the window wasn't open to look out on anything. But
Mhm.
I feel like it made a huge difference.
Yeah. Yeah, that's interesting.
Mhm.
Well, okay, so when I was talking about, let's go back to the selenite,
Uh-huh.
because there's other things that you can get too that are crystals that will help you ground, will help you just feel like, okay, I got this. I can operate. One of them, which is good to have. Oh, well, the top one is hematite. I don't have hematite in front of me at the moment, but most people have seen hematite. It's that gray stone, gray shiny stone, and it's heavy. It's got
Mm.
quite a weight to it, and you see it in a lot of, like, if you see bracelets that have crystals on it and stuff, you'll see it in a lot of, like, I don't know if it's just that it's an inexpensive one to mine or something, but I see it in a lot of different things.
Okay.
but the one that was the first crystal that ever caught my eye, just not realizing the importance of crystals, but just what caught my eye, is this tiger's eye.
Mhm.
And, tiger's eye, I mean, the caramel color, I mean, just think brown, dirt, ground, that
Yeah,
kind of thing.
nature, yeah.
So, smoky quartz, anything that's kind of brown like that is gonna tend to have that grounding energy. Um, what blew my mind is that there is a hotel over in Savannah, Georgia, near me, and the guy has a huge crystal collection on display.
That was the coolest thing ever. I went with you there.
Uh-huh. And in the bar area, he has a whole bar made of tiger's eye. And so, of course, I asked the bartender, I said, "So, first I'm thinking, what a freaking waste. Like, these people drinking don't need to, like, do they even understand the value of that?" But it was
Right.
gorgeous. But I asked the bartender, I said, "So does this help ground people? Like, like, is their behavior like a little bit more mellow because of it?" And he goes, I never really thought about that, but they're sitting there putting their elbows, their arms up, they're like, you've got all of this massive tiger's eye all around you. Um, and jasper is another one, whether it's ocean jasper, imperial jasper, moon jasper, which I've got some, well, that's probably going to be too hard to see, but that's the brown one right there is moon
Mhm.
jasper. But anyway, so that's another good one. So getting crystal bracelets that have those kind of things on it and wearing those, that will help you keep grounded during the day. And that's another one that my guide, my multidimensional guide BB brought up that she always talks about, um, to get people to be mindful, to go into a crystal shop and just find what crystal bracelet attracts them and to wear that, and that'll help them be more mindful and grounded. Like that's
Mhm.
and I've had some people say, well, I'd really rather have silver. And it's like, no, it needs to be crystal. It's going to conduct, the energy
The
and stuff.
funny thing is I had never been in a crystal shop, and
Mhm.
I went for the first time, and I was like, "Well, what should I get while I'm there?" I asked Samantha, and Samantha's like, "It'll speak to you. Whatever draws you in, that's what you need, and that's what you should get." And I walked in the door and made a beeline because I felt like, I have to check this out." And then as I walked around, I saw something that I thought was, "Oh, that's kinda cool," and then I dug through the little bowls and stuff until I found the one that I felt like I needed to have, so that was really cool.
Yep. So I'm going to mention, I know we could, Diana and I could go on forever.
Yes,
But I
good,
want to
and
mention
do.
two things. One is, um, the root chakra is another grounding, that's like the basis of where you need to do a lot of your cleansing and grounding out and everything. And that's the connection point between you and the earth, like where you can really lock in and release from, besides your feet. And so there is a grounding meditation that I have, that I will link in the description below. That's your integration. That's your weekly wanderlust, if you will. And I'll link it down below so that you guys can go over and listen to this meditation that'll teach you just this is the basic beginner's level grounding, what you should honestly be doing on a daily basis to have really good, um, what is the right word? Energetic, hygiene is probably the
Well,
best way
and
to
you don't
say it.
really think about energetic hygiene, but it makes a big difference.
Yeah, it sets you off. Remember, like in one of our previous podcasts, we said, you fucking matter. Like
Mhm.
this is one of those things of like you get up in the morning, you say you fucking matter, and then you take the time to ground, and both of them are setting your day
Right,
for, you know, being centered and in the moment and able to step up and give your all
yeah.
instead of feeling all scattered, blah, 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 right?
Right, right. And you can stop at any point during the day
Mhm.
if you're feeling that scattered and blah, 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 to bring yourself back in.
I love that. Um, okay, and so if you guys like this, like everything that we're talking about here and stuff, We're going to start doing a weekly group coaching session. It's free. Tell your friends, come join us, come see what it's like, what it's about. This will be starting in November. And, there'll be 2 different times that it's being offered. We're gonna get into all of these different things that will help begin to clear blocks within you, help you to just manage getting through the day better, begin to experience the life that you really want to experience, and we'll get into the woo. We'll do a
A
little
little bit
woo.
of woo, and
Yeah.
it's an opportunity to interact, ask questions, and your questions will kind of guide the discussion. So that's going to be fun.
Exactly. Yeah, I because we want to, here we're sharing this stuff with you. But when we do these sessions, it's like now you can ask questions and you can get guidance. And you stepping up to ask those questions helps other people who maybe don't feel like they can bring it up yet, or they're still
Mhm.
feeling out the group or whatever. And this will be done. This is again free, and it'll be done by love offering is the best way to say it. Pay as you go, pay as much as you want, pay as little as you want, whatever you can do. But show up for yourself because you
You matter.
matter. Yeah. Um, and do all the stuff like, subscribe, comment. Let us know what you think about, especially about our new shorter format where we're jumping right into this, where we still don't have all the time to say all the things we want to say.
And invite your friends. Some of you already have done that, and that's great.
Love it.
The more the merrier is kind of the way we feel about it.
Yep. Anything else?
I think that's it.
That's it. Okay, y'all.
We'll see
Take
you next time.
care. Bye.